Hey, let's match list of researchers to their information. So our job is to find out the answers for this kind of question. So list of people on the right side in the box, as you can see, and our passage. So earlier in our latest video, in my latest video in my channel, you may have faced this video when we got to discuss about matching features, matching information question types. So once you hit this point, you're going to be expecting matching list of people, matching our researchers. As you can see, we have surnames of researchers, and our job is to find out the answers too. So whenever you have a matching features information texts, please try to expect that you're going to be given this kind of question as well. So yeah, here we come. So the point is, the video's goal is to teach you the right strategy to find the answers as quickly as we can. So here we go. My name is Nurpahut. Welcome to my channel. So let's begin. So if you don't mind, I'm going to be recording this video to my short kind of content. So the most important thing here, our job when we have matching information, matching list of people questions, the most important thing when we have matching information and matching list of researchers here, our job is always try to keep in mind that you should understand what these statements are about. So that's the most important thing. Your job is to try to identify what is given here. And to do so, of course, you're going to understand the statement, each statement, and of course, you're going to be highlighting the keywords. So please try to read all of these statements before you're going to match them to the information given in the passage. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is the most important thing, and unfortunately, these questions, answers, they don't come in order. Yeah. So yeah, but good news, list of people, they do come in order. So don't worry about that. It's going to make our life a little easier, a little. So here we go. We have Matt Elliott here. This person comes first in the passage, as you can see. So the next one is Karen Russell. Again, section B has no one here, unfortunately. But yeah, and Karen Russell here, who comes second, and Peter Bourne. Peter Bourne, you're gonna expect that to be here. Peter Bourne is third. So please try to keep in mind that the questions answers don't come in order. Okay, but people, they do. Okay, that's easier. And please, before you jump into the questions, please try to highlight the people too. So first thing you should do is to highlight every person's name, surnames. So for example, why? Why you should do that? Because Matt Elliott, this person, one researcher, happened to be in other sections too. So Matt Elliott here, and as I mentioned, B has no one in here. C has only Karen Russell, Russell everywhere 3 times or more than 3 times. This person was mentioned. And next one, D, no one, as we can see. Yeah, no one. Section E, Peter Bourne, we don't have Matt Elliott, but please be sure to find every person in every section. So please try to keep in mind. So Elliot happens to be in 2 passages in this case. So whenever you have your IELTS exam, please try to highlight every person in every single paragraph. So please don't think that you're gonna have one surname in only like in once. You're not going to get that. So Matt Elliott happens to be in A, paragraph B, and paragraph A, and paragraph G. So it's your job to keep that in mind. So please try to highlight that too. So yeah, that's the most important thing. And the third thing that you should remember is you are going to match the information. You're going to base your answers according to the questions. You really need to understand that. So I know I'm repeating my words, but this is the important thing. So this is important thing, and you should try to keep those in mind. So the surnames, they happen to be everywhere. And for example, Matt Elliott, as I mentioned in the beginning and in the end, and Karen Russell also, if you pause the video and read the passage, you're going to see Russell in 3 or 2 paragraphs, for example, in C here, and also here in paragraph G also. Russell here. So Elliot, Karen Russell, they are in 2 paragraphs. And what about Peter Bourne? Peter Bourne is only here. Yeah, fortunately to us, Peter Bourne is here in paragraph E. So yeah, that's the most important thing. You should understand the questions, try to keep them in mind, what they are asking about, or the findings. Here we have the findings of the researchers. Please try to keep them in mind, try to understand them, highlight the keywords, highlight the people's surname in the passage as well. That's the most important thing. And the next one, note, you may use any letter more than once, which means maybe the answers are going to be like one person's surname might be the answer of 19s and 20s as well. So yes, there is a chance that the research name is going to be in 2 of your answers. So keep that in mind too. So we're ready. So you're gonna understand all the questions from 19 to 23 and highlight the keywords, and you're going to jump into the passage and read every single thing about every researcher. I mean, you should understand the whole paragraph. Scanning doesn't help. You should skim here. By the word skimming, we mean like you should understand the context of the paragraph, of each paragraph. So yeah, that's the most important thing. And that's it. That's all about the strategy of it. And now we're jumping into the questions. So when you are going to complete these type of questions, please don't try to read only the 19s and try to match this information, this statement, this finding to their paragraphs, to the people. Don't jump like this. You should really try to focus on people first, read the people's quotes, and it's going to be much easier. But when you do the opposite thing, when you're going to find what 19 is saying about, it's going to be a waste of time. And you remember you've got only 20 minutes for each passage, so please don't do that, okay? And also the last important thing is, please, whenever you have this kind of matching features, matching people, like people's names, surnames, and matching features questions, please complete them by the end, because it's going to be a very, very useful tip for you, because they require a lot of time, more time than true, false, not given, more time than sentence completion. Okay, that's important thing. So yes, and now let's jump into the questions. And the first thing, Matt Elliott, as I mentioned, the person is here, and our job is to read the whole thing about Matt Elliott here. And also, whenever you see quotation marks, and they're also going to be very easier to find, they're going to be very helpful for us. They are game changers. So let's try to read, even though if you don't have a question mark in the passage, in a paragraph. So our job is to read the whole thing, because if you remember, you really need to understand everything, okay? So yeah, but before answering the questions, of course, you should keep in mind the questions. So let's read every single question. Let's highlight everything. If a tree gets infected with Dutch elm disease, the damage rapidly becomes visible. 19s, okay. It gets infected with Dutch elm disease, the damage rapidly becomes visible. Okay, we got it. So gets infected, the keyword, Dutch elm disease, the damage rapidly visible. Basically, the whole thing is a keyword. So please try to highlight that. Next, it may be better to wait and see if the mature elms that have survived continue to flourish. It may be better to wait and see if the mature elms that have survived continue to flourish. Okay, we get it. So better to wait and see. Mature elms survived and flourish. Great, thanks. So please try to keep them in mind. I'm not saying that you should memorize the questions, but try to understand them. Okay, next one. 21. There must be an explanation for the survival of some mature elms. There must be an explanation for the survival of some mature elms. Okay, we got it. Explanation must be explanation, and survival mature elms. We get it. Next, we need to be aware that insects carrying Dutch elm disease are not very far away. Okay, we need to be aware insects carrying Dutch elm disease are not very far away. Okay, we get it. You should really understand every single finding. Next, you understand the effect Dutch elm disease has had when you see evidence of how prominent the tree once was. You understand the effect Dutch elm disease has had when you see evidence of how prominent the tree once was. Okay, we get it. So you may take a lot of time reading it. You may also like read twice every single finding. It's okay, but the point is you should really try to keep them in mind. So now we are ready to jump into Matt Elliott's paragraph. Around 25 million elms, counting 19% of elm trees in the UK, died. Okay, the aftermath elms, once so the dominant, the British landscape was largely forgotten. However, there is now hope the elm may be reintroduced to the countryside of central and southern England. Any reintroduction will start from a very low base. The impact of the disease is difficult to picture if you hadn't seen what was there before. Says Matt Elliott of the Woodland Trust. You look at the old photographs from 60s, and it's only then that you realize the impact elms had. They were significant large trees, then they were gone. Okay, so rings a bell, doesn't it? Yes. This paragraph rings a bell because the impact of the disease is difficult to picture. These kind of things are the most important things for us. So the impact photographs, the impact of this is difficult to picture. And because we had this one. Let me take a look. There must be better. Okay, you understand the effect Dutch elm disease has had when you see evidence. Evidence here, photographs. You look at old photographs. So yeah, evidence how prominent the tree once was. The prominent tree, they were significant. Elms, they were significant. This is a prominent tree. And the evidence is photographs, as I mentioned. And you understand the effect, it's the impact. The impact of the disease, yes, great. So 23 is A. And now let's have a look at more. Do we have anything about reintroduction? Because in the beginning we had reintroduction to the countryside. And you take a look at the questions again. Or no, we don't have anything about reintroduction. So we're done with A. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video that we have Elliot in the last paragraph too. So let's take a look. Once the face of it seems like a good idea. So let's take a look at the beginning. All of this raises questions of social acceptance. Social acceptance, okay. If you're putting elm back into the landscape, a small element of it's not native. Are we bothered about that? For her, the environmental case for reintroducing elm, again, reintroducing elm is strong. They will host wildlife, which is a good thing. Others are more wary. On the face of it seems like a good idea. The problem he suggests is that you're replacing a native species with a horticultural analog. You're effectively cloning. There is also a risk of reintroducing new diseases rather than plant new elms. So the Woodland Trust emphasizes providing space to those elms that have survived independently. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just give nature time to recover. Over time, you might get resistance, says Elliot. Okay, we have Elliot. And does it ring a bell? Does this sentence ring a bell to you? So sometimes the best thing you can do is just give nature time to recover. And it may be better to wait and see if the mature elms that have survived continue to flourish. So it may be better. It's sometimes the best you can do. Okay, yes. Does it make sense? Of course it does. And to give nature time to recover is to wait and see if the mature elms have survived, continue to flourish. So yeah, and get resistance is continue to flourish. So 20 is Matt Elliott again. So we've done with Matt Elliott. We don't have any other paragraph, so we are ready to move on. We are ready to go to Russell. Karen Russell, as I mentioned, this person is here in paragraph C, Karen Russell here, and in G here. So let's come back to B first, and let's read everything about Karen Russell. We have millions of small elms. Okay, that's my habit. Whenever I see quotation marks, I jump into them. So, but also please try to read the first beginnings, the topic sentences as well. So let's come back. Today, elms still exist in the southern English countryside, but mostly only in low hedgerows between fields. We have millions of small elms in hedgerows, but they get targeted by the beetle as soon as they reach a certain size. Do we have anything about certain size? Let's come back, jump to the questions. No, I don't see anything about size. Next, where we are with elm, once the trunk of the elm reaches 10-15 centimeters diameter, it becomes a perfect size. No, nothing about size. Let's move on. The key, okay, here, the key, Russell says, is to identify and study those trees and that have survived and worked out why they stood tall when millions of others succumbed. Nevertheless, opportunities are limited as the number of these mature survivors is relatively small. What are the reasons for their survival? We have everything about survival. Avoidance, tolerance, resistance, we don't know where the balance lies between the three. I don't see how it can be entirely down to luck. So if you remember, we had everything about surviving, which is in question 20. It may be better to wait and see. No. We've got 21. I mean, excuse me, my bad. There must be an explanation for the survival of some mature elms. So the explanation of the survival, there must be. That's the question. There must be. The person is not sure. So what are the reasons for their survival? This is the most important sentence question, I think. So there must be, what are the reasons? There must be an explanation. What are the reasons for that? And the keywords, paraphrasing, and survival of some mature elms, mature survivors here. And yes, survival. There must be an explanation. So, and a person in the end says, I don't see how it can be entirely down to luck. So 21, that's a Karen Russell again. Okay, next, let's move on. Paragraph D has no one. Let's move on. Paragraph E, F, let's come back to F now. Let's see. Any prospect of the elm returning relies heavily on trees being either resistant to or tolerant of the disease. This means a widespread reintroduction would involve existing or new hybrid strains derived from resistant, generally non-native elm species. A new generation of seedlings have been bred and tested to see if they can withstand the fungus by cutting a small slit on the bark and injecting a tiny amount of pathogen. The effects are very quick. We had this kind of thing. Fungus by cutting a small slit. Let's come back to the questions. This is how you work. You're going to use the passage and you're going to use the questions. So yes, please follow along. And we had this kind of infection here because we have fungus, pathogen from biology, injecting a tiny amount of pathogen. So if a tree gets infected with Dutch elm disease, the damage rapidly becomes visible. Yes, the effects are very quick. It's the paraphrasing of visible, I guess. And infected is injected a tiny amount of pathogen. So 19 is going to be Karen Russell, B. The next one, Russell again. All of these raises question of social acceptance. Acknowledges Russell. No, we have nothing about social acceptance. So yes, that's all about. We don't have any other paragraph, so that's all about Karen Russell, I guess. And now Peter Byrne. So given how ingrained elms is in British culture, so yeah, I forgot to mention Peter Byrne in paragraph E. And so, as I said in the beginning, even how ingrained elms is in British culture, it's unsurprising. The trees has many advocates. Amongst them is Peter Byrne of the National Elm Collection in Brighton. I saw Dutch elm disease unfold as a small boy. He says, the elms seem to be part of rural England, but I remember watching trees just lose their leaves and that they really stayed with me. Today, the city of Brighton's elms total about 17,000. Local factors appear to have contributed to their survival. Strong winds from the sea make it difficult for the determined Elmberg's beetle to attack this coastal city's elm population. However, the situation is precarious. The beetles can just march in if we're not careful, as the threat is right on our doorstep, says Warren. Okay, so let's come back to the questions. I may forget everything. We need to be aware that insects carrying the germ disease are not very far away. So yeah, right in our doorsteps. So not far away, that's a paraphrasing of not very far away. We need to be aware that insects carrying Dutch elm disease are not very... Yes, the beetles can just march in if we're not careful. We're not careful. We need to be aware. So if we're not careful. So I guess E, yes. The answer is we need to be aware. 22 is going to be E. So yeah, 19, we got 20, 21, 22, 23. That's all. And this also, the most important thing. I know I've repeated this word, the most important thing in the strategy of matching list of people to the information. But please, whenever you are in IELTS reading section in a real IELTS exam, please don't write the surnames. Please try to write always the A given options. But because when you're gonna write the surname or the name of a researcher, it's not going to be the right answer. It's going to hurt your bad score. So please, if you see option A, please write option A under the answer. So not, for example, we need to be aware 22, the 22nd answer is Peter Bourne. C, I'm not going to write down Peter Bourne. No, it's going to be incorrect answer. Please try to keep that in mind as well. So that's it. Yes, thank you very much for watching this video till the end. You've made it. And break a leg on your IELTS exam. So yeah, I'm an IELTS tutor and English teacher. So I provide one-on-one lessons, individual lessons. Feel free to join my lessons. I highly recommend practicing IELTS whenever you can. Please dedicate a lot of your time. And yeah, if you want having lessons with me, my link to my Telegram is down below in the description box. So break a leg, good luck, thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Follow for more, subscribe to my channel, okay? Thank you very much for watching this.